And we're going. All right. Monkey butt. Hey, hey. We're doing a show now, man. You can lay off the beehole and see that monkey cam is working. Fantastic. Look, monkey cam right there. Oh, monkey cam. Hey, everybody. It's been a little while. It was a wedding weekend for one of my dearest friends, and I didn't do a show on Friday. A lot has happened since then, huh? A lot of it has to do with criming. We are criming our way through these things. Oh, I need to get my camera so it fits the Evers Foundation on there. No one's throwing up $5 to have their up there. So Evers Foundation is going to be up there for a while. And the magnets keep trying to come down, so it's been very frustrating. Stay. But if you want the board, $50 for a show, and it will stay up there until somebody else puts their $50 in there. FTX was done. It's a Ponzi scheme, a very big one, big $50 billion Ponzi scheme. They managed to, what it sounds like, is they took everyone's money, right, or at least all of their crypto, and they took that crypto out, and then they borrowed on it. So they leveraged themselves 125 to 1 is what it sounds like. Echo. There's echo? Echo? Why is there an echo? I only have one microphone going here. Why is there an echo? What is happening? Echo, 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 echo. I don't know. I don't know why. I've done nothing different. I've done nothing different whatsoever. Through my microphone, so I don't know why there's an echo. I'm sorry, BW Brand. Do you have like 2 speakers on? Okay, let's just be BTW. Sorry, BTW. It's all you. You already want to go under your blanket? You gotta get off your blanket first. You gotta get over here. Come on. I can't put you under the blanket if you're over here. There, that's all you get. Okay. Well, you look like you've been betrayed. Yeah, so FTX leveraged everyone's crypto away and it's gone. Alameda, 30% of their holdings were in Tether, which we know Tether's a giant Ponzi scheme. If you've been watching this show, there's only about 3 cents on the dollar exists. Around there you go. Around $3 billion dollars in Tether have been redeemed, which probably means there's no more cash left at this point, because it's estimated between 80 to $100 billion was in Tether, and if they had 3 cents on the dollar, then they spent those 3 cents, and everything else has been stolen, and there's likely to be a run on the bank. And Tether may depeg in a serious way if and when the federal government dumps that 30% of Tether onto the market. Yeah, it's crypto's has a lot further to go right now, and I sold everything of import a year and a half ago when I found out what a shit show Tether was. Glad I did, because I do not think there's going to be any deals to be found in the crypto market. You may have some intraday things where it kind of goes up and down, but I think is where it's headed, and that when Tether goes, that's pretty much Bitcoin as well. At one point, 80% of all transactions for Bitcoin were done using Tether. No one actually knows who the creators of Tether are. There are some speculation that it's a couple of famous con men out of the Netherlands and Italy that created it. But no one actually knows the names of the folks who created Tether. They do know that they keep minting it and selling more out there. But if you can't sell your Bitcoin for cash and you can't get your money back, then what are you going to do? You're going to be stuck with it, and it's go, and no one's going to want it because they're going to be able to redeem it for cash. And as much as the crypto bros like to talk about how it's decentralized, it's not fiat currency, its entire value is tied to how much fiat currency it takes to buy. Why? Because you use it like a security and you redeem it for cash and you use that cash to get stuff. And if you can't redeem it for cash, then it's worth nothing, right? So, yeah. Well, I'm very thirsty right now. But anyway, bam. And off and off. Everything's off. Yes. I'm wearing the Steve Reese shirt, day 6 of Shiny Shirt Week. This is the shirt my old neighbor growing up, Steve Reese, was wearing one night. And I said, Steve, that is an amazing shiny shirt. He said, thank you very much. And then the next morning, it was hanging on my door handle. Because Steve Reese literally gave me the shirt off his back. He's a sweet, sweet, sweet man. Growing up, I would, he and his wife would go on vacation. I'd watch the cat and water the plants and do stuff like that. And then his wife passed away maybe like 10 years ago. And then he passed away about 5 years later. Shortly after he gave me the shirt, he passed away. He was a great guy. And so we wear the Steve Reese shirt, which is kind of flying squirrel large. But we wear it in his honor during Shiny Shirt Week. And Steve, wherever you are, you're a heck of a guy. And your shirt's amazing. So, the Steve Reese flying squirrel shirt with, I don't know if this is supposed to be like a little soccer ball or what, but it's got just amazing, trippy, shiny. I mean, look at this shine. Just, it's amazing. Yeah. Okay, so, what else we got going on? CPI wasn't as bad as we thought, and the market went woohoo as a result on Thursday and Friday. I mean, CPI is still 7.7%, which means the Fed's going to still raise rates, which means people still can't get car loans, auto loans, business loans, credit cards. Inflation's still going up. Things are much more expensive. So it's still bad news, but it's not as bad as they thought. Therefore, we should rocket the market, right? It doesn't make any sense to me. But I used the opportunity of those green days to purchase some SPY puts. And, because where I bought, the value of the SPY puts had dropped by 50%, which tells me that if we get a nice 20-point drop back down to the 370s, that I'll double my money, if not more. So that's what I'm going for on that. I don't know. You guys remind me of other stuff to talk about. I'll use the chat as... Oh, yeah, I should have talked about that. Okay, here we go. Brah. Sad Boy Incorporated. Houston, thoughts on covered calls on GME? I mean, you could do it. I would do cover calls only when the price is high. Because, I mean, or just way out of the money. Short term, way out of the money, and you can make a couple bucks off of it. But if you do cover calls in the potential for the price to have nice little volatility, then you could lose all your shares and not lose them at what the peak of that price would be. And then you got to buy back in again, which will just ruin your ability to have tax breaks. So if you're going to do cover calls, wait for it to go up. And when you feel like it's up and it's going to do that cycle back down again, that's when you sell those cover calls, because the volume just plummets on them. Or the value just plummets on them. Bzzz. When Moas, I'm getting sick of these hedgies. I want my paper pronto. Man, hedgies are tied up in this stuff. They're doing poorly. Tiger's down another 5%, so they're down like 52% on the year. So that means they've lost $20 billion, $30 billion. BlackRock as an institution is down like $2 trillion, which is the largest I think anyone's ever lost anything ever. The hedge funds that have a whole bunch of holdings tied in at FTX, they're screwed. Huge portion of their liquidity was in the crypto exchange. And that crypto exchange, well, thing that benefits them is that the crypto exchange generally doesn't count towards their assets under management, but it's all the money that they're playing with. They would borrow from their assets, play with that crypto, and that crypto's gone. So they have no way to pay back their margin. They can hopefully maintain that margin and keep from being permanently margin called, but it's gone. Bye. Toodaloo. Yeah, okay. It's Liddy Houston. Who will determine the price of Acme after it's been sold? How long does the process take? These are things I wouldn't know. So if a company goes private and then that company goes up for sale, I don't know what the timeline is for how long that sale takes to go through. For Twitter, right, we had a public company getting sold and then they're paying the shareholders out. It would have been a lot faster, but the person who made the offer, Elon Musk, tried to pull out and then could not, but wasn't successful. So it took months longer than it should have. But the minute he was like, fine, I'll buy it, it was just a matter of days. And then the sale went through. Everyone got their $54.20 per share. And then Elon then set Twitter on fire and has very little show for it. As far as selling an asset after it's gone private, it might be pretty quick. Maybe 3 weeks to a month when they get a buyer lined up to like dot the I's and cross the T's and do all that stuff. And then the price is determined by what the market price is. So market price is going to be largely based on how much oil or natural gas might be in this private company's holdings, if it's an energy company by chance. And a little bit will be determined upon what kind of infrastructure is there. So if there's a lot of infrastructure, then the incoming company doesn't have too much to do. But right now, getting infrastructure built is a little difficult because you've got labor issues. There's not enough people available to work. And you've got supply chain issues. We may not be able to get piping and steel and trucks and everything else to do all these things. So if there's energy be sucked out of the earth, there might be a few hiccups along the way to get it out of the earth. So that may affect what the price will be, but largely ignoring infrastructure and just going by, let's say Acme has $3 to $4 billion in barrels in 34 billion barrels of oil and upwards of 100 trillion cubic feet of, 1 trillion cubic feet of natural gas, or is it 6 trillion? It's a lot, whatever it is. Property's gonna sell for billions. Straight up. Probably 3 to 6 billion, if not more. So, it'll be okay. It'll be just fine. Amar Salah. What do you think of the FTX and AMC tokens? Will it send us to the moon? To FTX also hold GME tokens? Here's the thing about tokenized stock. And I said this, I don't know, a year and a half ago, when people were first talking about the possibility of GME, pulling their shares from the DTCC and blockchaining them, is that the tokens that are on the market are a scam. Straight up. All they did was they minted an ERC20 token on the Ethereum blockchain, and they gave it the name of a stock, and they called it a tokenized stock, which traded roughly at the price of what the market was trading. And they gave some buzzwords saying, oh, it's backed by actual shares. It isn't. It's just a complete scam. They minted these coins for like $100 in Ethereum. They took a few $1,000s and posted them to exchanges, and then that's it. They let it run from there, and it was free money. So anyone who bought a tokenized stock, you're hosed. Absolutely hosed. The banks that backed these tokenized stocks, they're all foreign banks. None of them are going to give you your money back. They're never going to go look for the stock that's involved with them. There are some rumors that they could have basically sold tokenized stocks to represent short shares to make the cash if they had to buy the short shares back. But then you're just going to owe a stock for the coins that they minted for those tokens. I don't have much hope that anyone's going to get anything back from the tokenized stocks. The prices were going up on them largely because those tokenized stocks weren't hosted on FTX. They were hosted by a foreign banks exchange, and so you could buy those tokens and then get out of FTX when everything else was frozen. So that's why you were seeing the prices go up on all those tokenized stocks, because there's a way for people to launder their money, get their money out of FTX and elsewhere. Just like you saw those weird NFT prices spike. People were buying all these NFTs out of some bank in the Bahamas, right? Because what they're doing is like, okay, I'll buy this NFT that's held in your exchange in the Bahamas. You keep 10% of that money. I get the rest of it back. And that's how they were laundering that money out of there when they couldn't do anything else with the exchange. So there's going to be a lot that's going to have to get unraveled, and a whole bunch involved with FTX that no one's ever going to get back. It's gone. It's straight up gone. It's gone in the Madoff style. It ain't there. Never was. So, oops. Okay. Isabella, can you tell my brother why he shouldn't take out $200,000 loan and buy a house right now? He isn't rich, and he really has no savings right now. I'm worried he's making a mistake, but he's adamant about it. Okay, Isabella's brother. Here is the big problem with taking out a loan right now. Interest rates suck. They suck so bad. And housing prices are going to come dropping down. So if you wait a year, 2 years, that $200,000 loan will buy you twice the house you'll get now. If you buy a house now and you're paying 7 to 8% interest on it, that house will be worth a quarter to half of what it is today a year from now. So you're going to be underwater on that house. You're going to owe more than what the house is worth, which means if you need to do any home improvements, anything like that, you wouldn't be able to qualify for a home equity loan. So any issues you run into that house, you're not gonna be able to pay for. You're gonna be stuck. Roof's leaking, oh, you're screwed. Kitchen's flooding, yeah, you're screwed. The other big issue is, if you're buying a house now, no one's desperate yet. They still think they can get more for their home than they can. They'll still be like, no, we don't accept home inspectors. You got to give us a cash offer or whatever. You're just going to be running into issues. So I would wait. I would wait at least a year and a half. Like, we get to a year out, we're going to start seeing a whole bunch of foreclosures on homes. We're going to see a whole bunch of people doing short sales. We're going to see complete lack of construction. A lot of spec builders won't be able to sell their houses that they've been building. They're trying to finish up whatever projects they have now. Hopefully can sell them before the bottom completely falls out. And you'll start to see homes pop up in auctions, foreclosure auctions, for 10 cents on the dollar. So that $200,000 loan in 2010, when the Maestros, who were real estate Ponzi scheme people based in here in Seattle, when they fled, their house got seized by the government and sold by the U.S. Marshals. It was a $20 million house, lakefront house in Lake Washington, next door to Bill Gates, and it sold for $200,000. So you may have opportunities to get a hell of a lot more house at a much lower interest rate than you ever would right now. I just would not buy a house right now. Stay away. You are buying at the absolute worst time to buy a house, probably in American history. Second maybe to like late 2007. It's going down a lot. Homer's Ghosts. Thoughts on SBF tweets? Apparently SBF is tweeting randomly. He's slowly typing out what happened or what's happening. The Twitter bots, which look for deleted tweets, apparently only check about once every minute. So if you tweet and delete, the number of tweets you have in your account remains the same, and therefore it makes it really hard to find out what tweet has been deleted. And that apparently is what he's doing. So it might be deleting incriminating tweets. I'm just amazed that he has access to a computer and is not in jail. But apparently, all the FTX Alameda guys were greasing the palms of everybody in the Bahamas. So they bought the police, they bought the prosecutors, they bought the judges, they bought the local government. So all those people are like, well, yeah, been giving me millions of dollars, so I'm not gonna do shit. And that's what you do. You grease those palms. It's very likely that the hack that happened on Friday was insiders stealing $400 million in more liquid assets. This backdoor hack is what it sounds like. So they've got cash. It's probably hidden all over the world in all sorts of accounts and wallets and everything else. And my internet is slowing down again. For crying out loud, internet. We had just gotten to the point where I could upstream, and now you're back down to 688K. What is up, internet? What, Comcast? You fail me constantly. Okay. All right. Where was I? That was the Amar. Justin, my head, can you explain the science behind Paris syndrome? I don't even know what Paris syndrome is. Paris syndrome. Paris syndrome is a sense of extreme disappointment exhibited by some individuals when visiting Paris. They feel the city was not what they had expected. Huh? I'm on Wikipedia here. Oops, that's not Wikipedia. That is a map of the Earth. Let's go like that. Let's go like that. Okay. Paris syndrome. The condition is commonly viewed as a severe form of culture shock. Syndrome is characterized by a number of psychiatric syndromes such as acute delusional states, hallucinations, feeling of persecution, perceptions of being a victim of prejudice, aggression, and hostility from others, derealization, depersonalization, anxiety, also psychosomatic manifestations such as dizziness, tachycardia, sweating, and others such as vomiting. While the syndrome has been publicly noted among Japanese tourists, it has also affected travelers or temporary residents from Eastern Asia, such as from China, Singapore, and South Korea. Huh! I have never heard of this before. Okay. Susceptibility. Of the estimated 1.1 million annual Japanese tourists in Paris, the number of reported cases is small. Identified two types of condition. Those who have previous history of psychiatric problems, boom, and those without morbid history who exhibit delayed expression post-traumatic stress disorder. In an interview with Slate, someone or other stated that the 50 pathological travelers hospitalized each year, only 3 to 5 are Japanese. Okay. All right. So basically, the Franco-Japanese Medical Association states that the media and touristic advertising are primarily responsible for creating the syndrome. Renault indicates that while magazines often pick Paris as a place where most people on the street look like models and most women dress in high fashion brands, in reality, neither Van Gogh nor models are on the streets of Paris. In this view, the disorder is caused by positive representations of the city and popular culture, which leads to immense disappointment as reality of experience in the city is very different from expectations. Tourists are confronted with an overcrowded and littered city, especially if compared to Japanese metropolis, and a less than welcome attitude by French hospitality workers like shopkeepers, restaurant, hotel personnel, without considering the higher safety risks to which tourists used to safer cities are suddenly exposed. I mean, I've been to Paris a few times. This last time in January, I saw models everywhere. Instagram models for sure, all over the place. I saw more butt cheek in January in Paris than I did in Vegas last weekend, and there was a lot of butt cheek in Vegas. Just so many butts all over Paris. It was insane. And then when I went through the Louvre, there was like all these dance teams of beautiful women doing music videos and stuff that were being filmed. There was a lot going on for January, and just an insane number of attractive people were wandering Paris. The weather was really nice, so that could have played into it for being January. So I don't know what number of hot babes you were expecting when you went to Paris, but I was satisfied with the number of good-looking ladies that were there. I wasn't really pay attention to good-looking dudes, but I'm sure there's plenty of them too. They just all have really skinny pants and pointy shoes on, and they're kind of But that sounds like we got the explanation of Paris syndrome right there. Huh. Weird. I'd never heard of that before. Look at that. Learning things. Thank you, Justin. Wheatwild, Houston. Got these coordinates. Look up slightly at the sign post Moas. I'm doing that road again on a motorcycle. Okay, where are we going here? Where are we going? Google Earth. Shabam. Shaboom. Shabling. There we go. Oh, we're going south. Going to Australia. We're on the coast. We are on a little dirt road, it looks like, maybe? Okay. Oh, maybe not dirt road. That looks paved. Okay, so I gotta go in here. Gotta look at the sign. Look up at the sign. There's a sign there, but I have no pixels. Oh, there's some pixels. There's that sign. Get some. Oh, that one. Great Ocean Road. Well, I'm looking at the sign. We're at Great Ocean Road. It looks beautiful. That looks like a hell of a coast. Great place to go surfing, get chomped on by a shark. Some great views. All right. I'd do this on a motorcycle. I'd do this in a car. I'd do this on foot. So we're down the south coast. We're on the south coast. I really wasn't paying attention. Exit Street View. Not quite to Melbourne yet, right? Melbourne. Give me myself oriented here. Okay. Big hill. Oh yeah, we're a ways away. No. We are west of Melbourne. Okay, we're west of there. Okay. All right. We're Canberra Timboon. Well, it's a great little forest through here. I dig it. I still haven't been south of the equator, so I should do that. I should do that. Scott Pollen, Houston. What do you think of the new large satellite communication array Blue Walker 3 AST Space Mobile? Has AST ever launched anything? They talk a lot about launching things. Blue Walker 3. Blue Walker 3. AST Space Mobile. Come on, click. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing because I have that on still. Oh, wrong one. That one. That off. There we go. Blocker 3 AST Space Mobile prototype satellite was designed to operate directly with standard unmodified mobile devices. The spacecraft was built with an aperture 693 square feet to establish connectivity directly with cell phones. Okay, so this is a big giant array, looks like, and they throw it up there, and it's going to work with your cell phone on your hand. That's pretty crazy. What orbit are they putting it at? Because it's geosynchronous. 30,000 miles away is a long ways to go for a handheld phone to be able to get connectivity. So it's got to be orbital or low Earth orbit. But if it's low Earth orbit, then it's going to be passing in and out of connectivity. So you're going to need boatloads of them, like Starlink, to keep constant connectivity going on. But hey, AST actually launched something. That's cool. Give me a little art technology. Tell me. Okay, so it looks like they might be going geosynchronous the way this drawing is here. Nope, low Earth orbit. Okay, so they're going to have to do a whole bunch of these then. 1 million fixed terrestrial cell globals with broadband capacity. Oh, and mid-band. Okay, they're going to have a whole network of these then, because these things are going to pass in and out of connectivity constantly. So this looks like just a big version of what Starlink's trying to do. So Starlink uses like a million little guys, and they throw them up there. This looks like it'll probably use a few really big ones and stick them up there. Yeah, it's cool. Cell phone towers are going to be a thing of the past soon. We're going to have so many satellites up there that can talk to our cell phones that we won't be using ground-based cell phone towers anymore. Paratarian. Just applied to my local GameStop as a side job to learn more about the company from an employee viewpoint. Wish me luck. Well, have fun. Apparently, they're going to be giving out hefty stock options to employees, up to like $20-something thousand a year in stock. So, heck, that's awesome. Get it while you can. Steve Milne? Houston, what is your view on vertical sleeve weight loss surgery? I'm currently 6'8", 230 kilograms, and considering it. You're a large human being. I don't know what the vertical sleeve is. I know about the like stomach stapling, where they just make your stomach smaller. Vertical sleeve. Gastrectomy. Explain it to me, man. Pen medicine. What do you got for me? So the stomach is reduced by 15%. Well, advantages: reduce hunger, reduce portions, less risk of malabsorption, no dumping syndrome. I don't know what that is. Durable weight loss, improvement or complete resolution of more than 40 weight-related diseases. Okay, so that means your likelihood of getting type 2 diabetes, spleen problems, whatever, all go down. Possible disadvantages of sleeve gastrectomy: ulcers from smoking or NSAID use, so you can't use your leaves or ibuprofen anymore, and so you gotta stop smoking. Structure or narrowing of sleeve, I don't know what that means. Less weight loss than gastric bypass on average. Gastroesophageal reflux. Burning your throat because you're burping fiery burps. That is something that I don't think I would be able to deal with, because I turned 40 and I love the fiery burps. That's the turn 40, apparently. But, yeah, okay. You reintroduce foods into your diet in phases. You'll start consuming clear liquid diet within 24 hours of surgery, then advance to full liquid diet, then soft food diet, and then your regular diet in the weeks ahead. Bunch of follow-up visits. Hey, man. You know, it worked for Al Roker. He got himself a gastric bypass of sorts, and he seems to be doing just fine. 6'8", 230. You're a large human being. You can definitely force your way around. But that tells me, you got something you can lose there. So why not? And well, one of the big problems people have who are overweight and trying to lose some is that you can't be as mobile when you're heavy. So, giving yourself a head start by doing something like a gastric bypass can allow you to slim down and get to the point where you're more mobile to begin with. Your joints feel better, your muscles feel better, and you can actually move and put on muscle rather than being too tired to move or in too much pain. So, Steve, go for it. Talk to your doctor and get feeling better. Curious one. Also got coordinates. Somewhere a little north. I can never find these things. Shabam. Like the macabre, in the mood for a nice walk in a nice town. Okay, shabam. Where are we? I wasn't paying attention. We are at this building, this kind of skull chapel. Is this the one in Prague? Or in Czech Republic? Oh, Poland. Ooh. They got pictures. Take me inside. There's the outside. But I want to go inside. Get me inside. Get me inside that chapel. Or is this the chapel? There. Nope. Back outside again. Oh, you jerks. Okay, maybe we'll have to go to Wikipedia then. Wikipedia me. Full article. Show me the skulls. It's a big graveyard there's there. There we go. Boom. That's metal. This is a little cooler than the Paris Catacombs, this organization. And there's Poland for you. There's the outside. We saw that. Here's some skulls. Some of them look like they've met some violent ends, though. Don't touch. Don't touch those skulls. There again. Give me whoop. Got skulls and the bones and the skulls. Got just floors full of them. Got them hanging out with angels. It is. You know, for how heavy metal these folks were, can you imagine what the interior designer's reaction would be if they all of a sudden were like faced with the thunderous poundings of Barzoom or Hellhammer or Bathory, some Swedish death metal band that just melted their faces. They're like, oh my god, it makes so much sense now. As they're stacking skulls. Or they're listening to like someone play on a mandolin and it's like ding 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 as they're stacking the bones of their colleagues and loved ones into fancy patterns. Just all right. There's a place for the old bucket list. Skull Chapel. Kaplica Sezek. I don't know how to say that right. I'm sure Jersey will be like, you butchered that, dude. I don't know. Sezek. Okay. All right. Groovy. Look at all those people who weren't dug up. Can you like die and then ask to be added to the skull mountain of skulls in there? Just asking for a friend. Isabella says, thanks, Houston. Well, you're welcome, Isabella. And Isabella's brother, don't get a house right now. Just wait a little bit. Rent price is going to come down, so you can pay a little more rent and then get something that's a screaming deal. Nasty Nate, UPST is back on the Reg Show, and Gherkin crew are pretty hyped. Is this play for you? I'm not in it at all, but it does look like it's going back up again. So the only thing I am focused on is some spy puts I got right now, and the potential for a hypothetical company called Acme to go bonkers. And if it goes bonkers, then I'm probably going to take all the proceeds from that. I will get to my 1,000 shares of GME, and I'll take the rest, and I'll put it into more spy puts and maybe like DRV calls, and just let it ride from there. Probably long term, so I got the theta going in my favor. But if I can 10 to 20x those, then Houston doesn't even need MOAS at that point. Houston just can go beach time. Monkey butt in Houston or head to the beach. And we'll be good. And then if GME rips after that, then we're cool. But I want to get my 1,000 shares of GME and then play with the rest. Just in my head, if not Kevin McCarthy, who do you think can get enough votes to be speaker? Ooh. I mean, it's still up in the air right now. It could go either way. Either the Dems or the Republicans each both get to 218 right now. So it might still be Pelosi. Get about 50-50 shot that's still Pelosi. McCarthy did not do much to rally the troops. And so who was it that was vying for a spot, Monkey? It was one of the crazy guys. I want to say Phil Spector, but that's a crazy record producer. Scalise. Scalise was perhaps going for it. And Scalise's a wackadoodle. That guy is cuckoo. But there's a lot of cuckoo among the base. A lot of the QAnon freakadoodles that are in there, and they might want some cuckoo, which might make for a split party. You may have a group of Republicans who are like, no, we're not going to vote for someone like Scalise. And you got the other ones who are like, no, we're not going to vote for someone like McCarthy. And who becomes speaker then? Nancy Pelosi? Because she'll be able to get 217 votes. And the other two might fight it out. So there might be a whole bunch of weird bargaining that goes on intra-party if the Republicans come out on top. And I give it 50-50 as to whether they do come out on top or not. There's quite a few races in the West that are still counting and waiting to hear on that. So we'll see. Sad boy. Hey Houston, why is it illegal for me to collect vertebrate fossil bones like the Jurassic Park kind and not the invertebrate kind? Thoughts? Because the vertebrate ones are sexier and harder to find and worth more. And they want you to make sure that you get permission and perhaps pay your fees to do that. And they want to know where they go. Because the sale of that stuff in the black market is worth a lot of money. That's why they want them taxes. Just in my head, sounds like you and all your siblings are all super accomplished in your fields. What's the number one thing your folks did right? Let us be nerds. Probably the biggest thing. Bought me maps when I wanted to look at maps. Bought me atlases. Bought me almanacs. Made sure I got Legos to play with. Let me run around like crazy. I was definitely an unsupervised child from a very early age. I'm talking like 2-3 years old. My mom's let me wander the neighborhood. I was eating leaves and playing with the neighborhood dogs and wandering around and meeting people. Type of stuff that today, if you did, parents would go to jail. But like everyone's kids just wandered the neighborhood back then. And 4 years old, I remember walking like a mile to the grocery store and buying M&Ms and coming back. No one cared. Whereas they'd be like, 911, there's a 4-year-old walking around unsupervised. And then I'd be in child protective services and my mom would go to jail. So that self-reliance, I think, went a long way. No one was really scared that anyone was going to like take their kids. So they just kind of, kids were in just little packs all the time, wandering around neighborhoods, which they don't quite do anymore. I don't know. Chemistry sets, power tools, building forts in the woods, digging holes. That was a large portion of my childhood and my siblings' childhood was just doing stuff. I don't know if that would translate to a modern day and age where we have so many electronic gizmos and gadgets to play with, if we would have been as outdoorsy as we were then. I probably would have been like video games much more, but even then we were only allowed to play the Nintendo a certain amount of time before my mom kicked us out. So we had some constraints on things like that. Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have had access to something like Wikipedia when I was a kid, because I read the encyclopedia cover to cover, because I was like, I must know everything. I need to know everything there is. And being able to scroll through like 50 billion articles on Wikipedia would have been pretty rad for like 9-year-old Houston. Yeah, that's probably the big thing. We always had books around. Having books around were really important. Because you stumble upon one, you open it up, you start reading. So that was a big part of our childhood. And I think that is one of the biggest difference makers in a lot of kids in their sort of how they take to education later in life, is whether there's books or not in the home. So there's a lot of good charities that make sure that like kids early on get access to books, so it becomes a habit or something that's expected around. And even social workers will try to be like, hey, parents, even if you aren't going to read these books, just have them on shelves in your home so your kid will wander by and might want to read one. There was one of the paint drying shows, one of the old ones, like Trading Spaces or something. I remember this family had a home, and they had in their living room, they had these like amazing cathedral ceilings with these floor to ceiling bookshelves that were just incredible, like 20 feet tall, 40 feet wide, just huge bookshelves. I was like, oh, those bookshelves are amazing. And when the couple's talking with the the designer, they're like, we want to get rid of these things because no one reads books in my house. And I was like, oh, those poor kids. Oh, those poor kids. Like, if I were the designer, I'd be like, let's, instead of getting rid of those shelves, let's go to the library sale and get you about 10,000 books to fill those things up. And you can at least have it as a design element. Then your kids can wander by and perhaps read a book every once in a while. But I think that's a big portion of it, having access to reading material. So, people, make sure your kids have books at home. Okay. Lost Waves, can we super chat you to not talk about Elon? Oh. It's going to be a pretty high price on that one because I love talking shit about Elon. Some of you are coming around. A lot of you were like, no, Elon's the greatest ever. And now you're like DMing me like, well, yeah, Elon's kind of a piece of shit. So, if you want to talk about Elon, the price, we'll see what that price is. So, Okay. Joshua GME T90 date. If it's calendar days, it is sometime next week on like the 22nd. And if it is trading days, I think it's sometime in January. I have no idea what that date is. I just remember someone posting like January something. But Adam Aaron has been diluting Ape. Not by huge amounts, only like 13 million shares. But still, like, I thought the entire point was to try and get max dollar for this thing. And selling at like 250 is not getting max dollar for it. You could have sold those 13 million 2.5 months ago for like $6-7 and raise even more money while you're waiting to sell at 250. Doesn't make any sense to me. Dustin Height deleted my coordinates. Where are your coordinates? I don't see any Dustin Height coordinates or deleted anything in there. Throw them in there again. Nuclear Moas. I don't like dates and prices. Targets, it happens when until they, and I don't know that's that one, but yeah, buy and hold. There you go. BB Ram, post the coordinates with a sentence attached. That seems to be a thing. Like if you just post the coordinate numbers, it doesn't seem like they let you post them. But if you post it within a sentence, then they're like, oh, it's a sentence, and there's other things to talk about here. I don't know what's up with YouTube's algorithm, but yeah, put a little sentence in there. And it should let you put your coordinates in. Scott, did you enjoy the chocolate? Ah, crap. I didn't go to the post office today. I went to my friend who's an electronics repair guy, does like repairs like computer circuit boards and stuff. He's getting rid of a whole bunch of electronic components, and I went and gathered them up in boxes so I can grind them up and get metals out of them. And I forgot to go to the post office. I remember to get gas at least, so I did that. And then went to dinner at my dad's house because my stepmom's in Japan and he's all lonely. So my cousin came over and made lasagna and we had a lovely dinner. But post office. I'll go to the post office tomorrow because I still have 2 stickers to mail and I still got like 9 left. So I don't know what the post office box is looking like. But if you want stickers, we're getting real low on those stickers. Javi A. Houston, the volatility in the market is making me money. I had SPY puts and calls last week and paid off nicely. With my gains, got Walmart puts, UPST calls, and waiting for GME call entry. That's how you do it, man. Good job, Javi. These SPY puts, hopefully they'll net me, 2 to 4x once the market goes, whoo! When's the next housing data? Anyone know the next housing data? It's going to come out. It's going to tell us just how shitty the housing market is. We'll see DRV go wah when that happens, but then SPY go. But my guess is that retail's gonna get hammered. There'll be a point after Thanksgiving and before Christmas. There'll be sort of like the halfway point about the Christmas season. You'll see all these reports about whether we have a good Christmas season or not, and my guess is it's gonna be a not so good Christmas season. Inflation, layoffs, are good, and the fact that people can't get loans and max out their credit cards means Christmas is going to be pretty pretty tight for some folks. So we'll probably say like, oh, Christmas season's not that well for all the retailers this year, and stocks gonna go whoa, because Christmas is like 3/4 of the sales for a lot of these retailers throughout the year. Jason Blackwell, hey Houston, 0 to 100%. What odds do you give William Morgan's $1,000 price prediction for Acme? 65%. I'm pretty confident there's going to be some bonkers prices because there's going to be some forced buying, and there's a lot of big whales with Acme that do not want to sell, hypothetically, right? So, I mean, hope springs eternal. I would love it personally. It would really free up a lot of plays that I could be making, and a lot of fun to have, and could make one hell of a war rig out of that. So I'm hoping, but I think it's pretty good. That's going to be well above what a possible dividend could be, namely because the whales, hypothetically, let's say hypothetically, of the 80 million float that could exist for Acme, that 31 million of those shares are owned by two people who have set their sell limits at above $385. That tells me it's going to be really hard for brokers to get their shares to be able to close out those positions. So I want it. I want it to happen. Just in my head, what effect do you think millions of Republicans dead to COVID made in voter turnout? Well, I mean, there's going to be lower voter turnout in midterms regardless. But of the 1.5 million who died, probably 1 million were registered Republican or close to it. And that could have affected quite a few races in a lot of places. A lot of counties that may have been, more red leaning might become more purple as a result. So yeah, it could definitely have an effect. You don't want to encourage policies that kill off your base. Like, if your base is a bunch of old people, don't do things that get old people killed. If your base is a bunch of old people, don't say you're going to eliminate their Social Security and Medicare. Those are pretty dumb things to do. To be like, hey, old people, vote for me because I'm going to make sure you die a horrible death. Ha ha! And your grandkids get nothing. That's a pretty terrible platform. Also, when half the population is women, and most of those women want access to abortion, don't make sure they don't have access to abortion. It's because they're not going to vote for you. So, yeah, you want to do things that the people want so they'll elect you. That's an important aspect. Like get rid of student loans, legalize weed, stuff like that will get people to vote for you. It doesn't really affect society negatively in the long run. So my suggestion is listen to what people want and then try the best way you can to get them those things. Rather than listen to some weird, creepy libertarians who say, we should not live in a society, and then do things that are antisocial, and then people go, wait a minute, that hurts me. BTW brand, don't see why it won't reach that for a peak. Things get wild when brokerages put their foot down. Yeah. And we'll probably see stubbornness in the when a fictitious company called Acme perhaps goes private. We'll probably see a bunch of funds go, I don't have the money for this. I mean, it's going to wipe me out. So I'm just going to go la 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 and try to come off the other side. Maybe do some deals and swaps. Do something they can that just push it on someone else. But the brokerages are going to have to put their foot down. And then you go, bonk. I am taking all your assets. I'm selling them now, which SPY puts just paid off. And now I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy Acme like crazy. And then Acme goes, woohoo, into whatever price it takes because they have to buy it. And if the dividend is potentially $30, $60, $120 a share, there is no incentive to sell at all because you're still going to get a boatload. You're still going to get like 30 to 100x off your investment and not have to do anything. And it's going to be probably a tax-free event when that happens. So the price of the sale of your shares to entice you to sell before it goes private is going to have to be pretty extreme. And folks are going to wait until the last minute. And if the price is absolutely stupid, they'll go, all right, fine, I'll sell. And then everything get cleared, and then, whoever's left holding will deal with only the 30 to 120x return on their investment from the dividend. Science Me, Houston, what did one tectonic plate say to the other when it bumped into it? Sorry, my fault. Boo! Did Jason Blackwell put you up to this? Hansen Bell coordinates somewhere also in Europe. Hansen Bell likes to give me European ones. Check out Devil's Bridge. Good morning from Frisia in Germany. All right, Hansen Bell. Not too far from here. Bam. Wrong. Devil's Bridge. Devil bridging. Shalblap. Well, this looks like a thin little Finger Lake. But there is a little bridge down here. Is this a river? Or is it a Finger Lake? You got pictures, right? Let's go a picture looking at Devil's Bridge. Oh, there we go. That is not a bridge. That's a bridge right there. Look at that thing. How on earth? That is a thin little bridge with a thin little keystone right there. Okay. And there is a very large stairway. Can't go in the water? Is the water too low? Is it too sludgy in there? This has been taken recently during the drought. I'm gonna go on the bridge itself. Give me that bridge. Give me that bridge. Yes. Nope, I can't get on it. I'm only next to it. But we got some basalt columns. There's some basalt there. And more basalt columns. These don't look like natural though. These look like they were placed there. What a freaky little bridge. What a freaky deaky little bridge. Is there Wikipedia for this? Sculptor des Hercules Farnese. Oh, okay. There's sculpture. You guys can't see it because for some reason it doesn't show up on your side. But I don't have... That's a freaky looking bridge. I'll give you that much. Okay, where are we? We are in... Come on. So just on the border, almost to Poland. Okay. Far eastern Germany. These are little Finger Lakes out here. Look at these things. These little folds are kind of Appalachian looking. Cool looking lakes though. I like Finger Lakes. They're neat. Okay. Thank you, Hansen. Hassenbell. Christopher S. Houston, do you know if FTX had more tokens traded than the amount of tokens that were actually created? I know they were offering equity for which they did not own or were able to exchange. I think it's very possible. Because I think what they were doing is they were selling you Bitcoin, and then taking that Bitcoin immediately, either lending it out or using it as collateral on loans. And therefore, I'm max headrooming all over the place. YouTube not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. So, I think it's possible they sold coins that didn't exist. I get the feeling, at least for the first chunk, that Robinhood was doing crypto. I just got the feeling they weren't selling you actual crypto. They didn't bother buying any until they've created their wallets. That's just the feeling I got, because why else would you be able to do it without commission, gas fees, anything else? And then you wouldn't let people trade it? That's because it didn't exist. That's my feeling anyway. I think quite a few crypto groups might be selling crypto that doesn't exist. There's that entire exchange in Korea that sold like $15 billion in Bitcoin, and they never actually had any Bitcoin for people. They just took their money and then shut down the site and went, peace. And that was it. There's a lot of scams that happen in unregulated currencies. Decentralization means it's decentralized. You have all these FTX folks who are like, we need a government bailout. I'm sorry, buddy. You ain't getting a government bailout. Why? Because you're decentralized. You purposefully went for commodity slash security slash currency that is unregulated and is not connected to any fiat centralized banks. Therefore, you can't get a bailout. There is no such thing for you. You're screwed. So, I don't know what else to tell you. You're screwed. Screwed. Jason Blackwell, Houston, my moose. My wife was upset about the moose that fell from the sky. I told her it's just reindeer. Jason, I mean, you got your dad joke got beaten. You got beat to your dad joke today by Science Me. So, yeah. How far behind? Hey, I'm 70 minutes behind so far. I haven't gotten to the start of the show yet. Oh my goodness. Okay. Brandon T. Houston, can we assume that Sears was almost shorted into oblivion? If there is payout by the liquidating trust to shareholders, could that be enough to collapse a lot of the hedge funds? Depends on how much it is. I mean, if it's let's keep the number simple. Let's say they made 1 billion fake shares, just 1 billion, right? And the payout is $8. You're looking at the short hedge funds having to reach in their pockets and pull $8 billion in cash to pay off all those shares. In a time where their crypto investments are wiped out, where the SPY is probably going to disappear, where their housing investments are collapsing, where their blue chips are falling off a cliff, where their bonds are worthless, having to find an extra $8 billion might be what pushes them over the edge. If it's more significant than that, if it's $10, $20, $30, then, you're at $10 billion, $20 billion, $30 billion you got to come up with. So yeah, it would probably collapse a couple of hedge funds. They would not be able to come up with the cash for that, and thus they'd have to liquidate, which would bring down other hedge funds along the way. So we have a nice little turbulent perfect storm, little eye of Jupiter happening, where all this stuff is combining. I mean, we knew that crypto was going to be this canary in the coal mine. We talked about this for a long time. But what we didn't know was that, in particular, an exchange would be the first thing to go down because it was a Ponzi scheme. We just thought that like a particular coin like Tether was going to collapse, and then it was going to cause lots of repercussions. But now we've got dominoes falling sort of ahead of what I thought was going to be the big catalyst, which was Tether. But now everyone's looking at Tether and they're going, oh my, there's a lot of money tied up in Tether. We have no idea who the creators or owners are. We don't know where any of their money is. We know that Alameda owns 30% of all the Tether. That's going to be auctioned off or sold off in order to pay off all sorts of crimes they did. And that's going to probably depeg it. It's already getting depegged a little bit right now due to people cashing out like crazy. So, man, It's going to be wild. Chakaseki. Hi, Houston. You positioned with calls for OPEX. UPSTs on reg show as of tonight. Insane pressure likely for this OPEX. Also bought some GME calls. Let's up and go. I don't have much to play with at the moment. I'm waiting for the SPY to take a hit, and then I'll have more to play with. So I would like to play with some more, but gotta wait. Andrew Stewart, BBC just said they expect Trump to announce a 24 run. Yeah, he said 15th was going to make his announcement. That is in just a few hours, the 15th. So sometime tomorrow. Trump, I think, is under the belief that as long as he announces his run for presidency, the Department of Justice can't do anything to him. That's not how it works. He ignored a subpoena today to the January 6th committee. So he may, I mean, especially if the Democrats hold on to the House, which, 50-50 right now, he could be brought up on contempt, and that would be hilarious. So, by all means, Mr. Trump, continue to ignore subpoenas. But the Trump-DeSantis fight is going to rip everything apart because Trump has a really, really, really rabid, really loyal base. And if he wants to, he can pull 20 to 50% of all Republicans to vote for him as third party and to just be rabid against DeSantis. If DeSantis were to get the nomination, it's going to be ugly, which would result in just another Democrat. Democrats could run like a pile of mud and win in that situation. Democrats aren't going to vote for either DeSantis or Donald Trump. So I think it poses some real questions that Republicans have to figure out for 2024. Mitch McConnell is getting some pushback from members of his party because, they didn't win the Senate. They were supposed to have a giant red wave, and they didn't win the Senate. I feel pretty good about my predictions. I said the Democrats are going to keep the Senate. I thought they're going to get like 52, 53 in there. But it looks like they'll probably have 51 because my guess is that Warnock will win Georgia in the runoff. And then I said it's going to be really close for the House. It could go one way or the other really closely, and we're right now one way or the other really closely. So I feel pretty good about my predictions on that. But Republicans did a lot of party finance push polls. They gave false numbers, and they pushed those onto the media. The media's like, "Oh my goodness, look at these polls are really close on all these races," and they weren't. Like Smiley versus Murray in Washington, all year it shows Patty Murray with a 9-point or greater advantage. Then suddenly this one push poll from the Republican Party comes out like 10 days before the election. Everyone's like, "Oh my goodness, Smiley is caught up," and then she gets trounced by 15 points. A lot of it is probably because she put too many ads on during the World Series and Seahawks games. People were just sick of seeing her ads. They're like, "Oh, screw this lady. I just want to watch football." And that, I think, blew back on her. But I said it was going to be nowhere close, and it was nowhere close because you can't trust these push polls. Also, young people came out to vote in huge numbers, absolutely gigantic numbers for a midterm. And young people don't answer their phone if it's an unknown caller. So the phone says unknown. They go, I'm not going to answer that. Therefore, young people do not answer their phone and do polling. So the problem a few years ago was that cell phones weren't called for polls. And so they had all sorts of problems there. It was only landlines. Some people who own landlines were old people. And now that everyone has cell phones and they're finally doing polling with cell phones, young people still don't answer their phones. They only answer their phone if they know who's calling and they know that person who's calling isn't someone they owe money to. So that's the only people they'll answer for. And I'm just now entering some sort of weird digital realm on my video, which is frustrating as hell, but fascinating to watch. Look at that picture. Just do the weirdest things. Hopefully you guys can hear me because I'm now black and white and I am like a weird fax machine scan that's gone wrong. There's some colors coming back. That is just wild to look at. Yeah, YouTube, not receiving enough data to maintain smooth video. Yes, I'm well aware. I can see it in my little corner window right there. Oh, and there goes the reset of the chat. And okay. Oh, at the start of the show. Going past all the echoes here, but everyone says it sounds nice, so it's all right. Christopher Chris. Houston, do you think we will ever be able to upload the human consciousness into a computer, effectively keeping a mind alive after the body dies? Perhaps when we get to bigger, badder quantum computers. And we work on 3D storage. That'll be a key also. Because right now our storage devices are two-dimensional, either on a disk or on a chip. But there is some solutions where we can do three-dimensional storage options, and we can store things according to the three-dimensional array, which will just blow your minds as to how much information can be retained. You think those tiny little like micro SD chips that are like a terabyte in size are freaky? Just wait for a tiny little chip that's a 3D crystal that holds memory and will hold 10,000 terabytes. It will absolutely open up how much information can be stored in things. There's been some headway into 3D storage. We can also store things in genes. I don't know if you saw that stuff recently, where like you could code DNA to store image files. So like they did like an image of a giraffe or something and coded it into DNA, and a computer could read it. Like, that's a giraffe. So I think that's gonna be a big point. Is how much can you store, and we'll get there. Echo and the Bunnyman. Joshua Gme, CEO of Alameda, says she does amphetamines. It sounds like they all do. There's pictures of SBF with the weird stimulant Parkinson's drug that he's using as like dermal patches. That's just, that's just some rich white kid drug doing there. And those are the patches that like where Parkinson's patients all of a sudden become like sex monsters and lose all their money to gambling because they like lose all inhibition. And if you are a bunch of people controlling a $30 billion crypto exchange and the part of your prefrontal cortex that manages your risk reward system and you basically have no more conscience, yeah, you're going to do all sorts of weird, creepy things. Right? How you doing over there, monkey? You doing all right? Should everyone take a shot at your little butt? There we go. There's a little monkey butt for everyone. Michael Harrow, Houston, I think the Seattle Kraken mascot is a secret love child of Sam Bankman-Fried and Carolyn Ellison. What I don't understand about the Kraken mascot is that the Kraken mascot isn't a Kraken. Wouldn't you want like some noodly appendaged sea monster to be the mascot for the Kraken, since the Kraken is a noodly appendaged sea monster? But hey, you know what? This is a really weird time we're in. The Huskies are going to be playing postseason football. The Mariners made it to the postseason, made it to the American League Championship Series. Divisional Series. The Seahawks are leading their division and are looking to go to postseason. And the Kraken, in their second year ever, are second in their division and probably going to the playoffs. So we don't have that type of sports success here in Seattle very often. It's kind of a one or the other. One team is doing really well and all the others just suck donkeys. So this might be the signal of the end of the world, to tell you the truth. That if all four Seattle teams make it to the playoffs, then that's it. We're doomed. If only we had the Sonics back to go to the NBA championship somehow. Ted Tremendous, I'm just starting to see videos from Forbes and news about FTX. Will this spread on, or no matter, since most older investors never trusted crypto in the first place? I think the big problem is that because young people have essentially no access to building wealth. If you look at the boomers, Gen X, and millennials, the amount of wealth building millennials have managed to generate so far pales in comparison to Gen X, and Gen X pales in comparison to boomers. So they've not been able to establish any significant wealth building, which means that when most of us get old, we're going to have to rely entirely on Social Security, which means we're going to be eating cat food and living in cardboard boxes. And that the folks who had managed to somewhat get out of that, temporarily at least, were all invested in crypto, and they're all wiped out right now. They're just wiped clean. So many accounts are getting liquidated, margin called, so on. They're done. They got nothing. They owe probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. They're hosed. They're just screwed. They're probably gonna be filing for bankruptcies and all sorts of stuff happening. So it's back to the drawing board. And if they don't have their cash to play with, they don't have a lot to play with when it comes to the markets. So they aren't going to be able to save much coming up. But because Fidelity, BlackRock, Susquehanna, Citadel, there are big players, big names that have jumped into the crypto market as well. And they jumped in, I think, a little too late. By the time they got their act together, like, okay, we're going to start our own crypto exchange. We're going to make our own coins. We're going to offer this. They're like a year behind the curve. And they're showing up like, showing up to the gunfight and like everyone's dead. And like, shit, we just invested a whole bunch of money in this thing. And there are no players anymore. What do we do? So you may see them kind of hold on to these like infrastructure they built to deal with this. Wait for something like Tether to wipe everyone out and then start all over again. And we'll be like, hey guys, it's a brand new world. You have the big name players involved there. We got rid of all these weirdos that you never heard of that all of a sudden became millionaires overnight and then died a horrible death. You got your old big trusted institutions now that are behind crypto. And it's going to be safer and it's going to be better and it's cheaper than ever. So come on, folks. We're going to teach old people how to play crypto. And they'll probably start it all over again. And then it will be totally tempting to do exactly what all the young crypto people did. And they're just going to steal everyone's money and then it's going to burn once more. I won't be too cynical, but when you can crime and get a lot of money and pretty much get away with it, you're going to crime and get a lot of money and pretty much get away with it. Especially when you can crime, take a huge payday, get out, and then leave the next guy in charge to take the blame for it. That's a great thing. You just like leave and then you're out. Bithead, occupier of VWAP Pontiff. A long time no see. Hope you're well. You should buy more pixels. Listen, I wish I could afford pixels right now, but apparently Comcast only wants to have like a 600K upload. So it is the Houston Smudgy Face Radio Hour. At least the chat is crystal clear for you guys, right? We can see that happening. And I'm only an hour behind in all the chats here. As per usual. BTW brand, there was a nice 6% swing last night, and BTC only took 3 hours to get them gains. Yeah, and then get out, drop down again, get back in, goes back up, get out, and it's just going to be a lot of this for a little while until the next thing crashes. Guitar stuff. Hi, Houston. The whole point of crypto is have it be worth cash. Exactly. Last week when FTX went belly up, and everyone's like, I just don't see what crypto is even used for these days. And I point out my old saying, there's 3 uses for crypto: to pay for crime, to launder money, and to speculate. And you'll be able to pay for crime still. You'll be able to launder money still, but speculation is out the window because the speculation was based on greater fool theory. That somewhere you're going to buy this, somewhere there's going to be a bigger fool you can pass it on to, sell it for more. And then you run out of fools eventually. And we're kind of running out of fools. And then this dude responded, he was like, you're just describing fiat. I'm like, bitch, that's not fiat. Like fiat currency, I can go to the store, I can go to 7-Eleven with my fiat currency, and I can buy myself a bag of chips. $1.99, just got myself some Cheetos. Cool, done. Bob's your uncle. I've got crypto. Now, I can buy that bag of chips, and I could be buying it for the equivalent of, I don't know, a year from now, a private island in the Bahamas. I don't know. Or I could be buying it for the equivalent of like a nanocent a year from now. But regardless, I pay for that crypto. My transaction fee, my gas fee to buy that bag of chips is going to be like $25. So no, it can't be used as a currency because no one can afford the gas fee for it to be a currency. The only time you can actually move that kind of money and make that $25 gas fee work is if you're moving a boatload of it. So if I'm laundering $1 million from Los Angeles to Paris, $25 gas fee is nothing. I just launder all that money out of the country. Cool. But if I'm trying to like use it to live, no, that doesn't make any sense at all. You want to move huge amounts of it, not little bits, because the gas fees have become prohibitively expensive, which is why I've been stuck with these Problemo coins for a year and a half, because I can't get it onto layer 2. I've tried. And the Ethereum 2.0 hasn't happened, which means the gas fees on the regular layer 1 is still insane. So if I want to give people Problemo coins, it's going to cost me $100,000 to do it. That's stupid. That's really stupid. So, no. Yes, you can launder money with cash. It's a pain in the ass because cash weighs a ton. Yes, you can pay for crimes with cash, but that's a pain in the ass because cash weighs a ton. And yes, you can try and speculate with dollars, but it's going to be pretty stable. And number 4, you can use dollars to actually buy things. Not like gimmicks where that dude spent, like 10,000 Bitcoin to buy a Domino's pizza in 2008. I bet that guy regrets everything he's ever done in his life. But, you're not, when you go to the Pizza Hut website, there's no Bitcoin thing, and no one's going to pay for pizza with their Bitcoin because you have no idea what it's going to be worth. It could swing, like I said, 6% in 3 hours. Currency should not swing 6% in 3 hours. It makes it not a currency. It makes it a security. So you have these debates in Congress and among the SEC and others like, well, we regulate it as a currency, we regulate it as a security. It's a security. It's not a currency. You might as well pay for gum and Microsoft shares or something. Deal with a commission. Nerds, Houston, happy birthday. Have you ever played pinball? And if so, what pinball table is your favorite? Turn off intro. Okay. So I've talked about this. I have this idea to do maybe, I don't know if it'd be weekly or just a one-off every once in a while. A show would be something like Houston, we have a talk show. Or Houston, we have to talk. I don't know what we call it. Anyway, I have a friend on the island who is a former NBA star, Todd McCulloch. He was the Shaq stopper. He got a huge contract with the 76ers because he's like the only dude to keep Shaq under 20 points a game. And then he ran into health issues because the guy's like 7'4" and he had circulation problems. And so he had to end up quitting basketball. And after he quit basketball, his wife's from the island, so they moved here to the island. And he used his guaranteed contract wealth to have the largest pinball machine collection in the world. And he's now a professional pinball player. And he is amazing. I've only played a couple of times with him. I am no pinball expert whatsoever. But he did teach me how to do some tricks and like start to get like 1,000,000-point games. The one we play most is at the brewery, and it is a Metallica pinball machine, I believe, is the one. But the World Championships of Pinball came a few years ago to his house. Like all the top pinball players in the world came to Todd McCulloch's house and played pinball at his house because he had more machines than anyone on Earth. And I would really love to do kind of like a 60-minute style interview with him because he's just A, he's a sweetheart. B, he's this giant human being and he does cool shit. And I like finding nerds that find a passion about something. Like, yeah, he was one of the best basketball players on Earth for a period of time. And he's just a giant. And he did color commentary after he retired from basketball. So he's got all these cool experiences. Plus, he's one of the top pinball players on Earth. And he's obsessed with it. It's all he thinks about and all he wants to talk about. So I would really love to do an episode kind of 60 Minutes style. I'm going to talk to Scott, my old roommate, about this and film like a cool interview where we like learn about pinball from this freak of nature. So, nerds, that's an excellent point. We're going to talk pinball one of these days, and we're going to hear from one of the greatest players in history from it. Watching Todd play is incredible because he'll be playing and doing all the tricks and things, but he'll be having a full-on conversation with you about all sorts of stuff, like half paying attention to the game and bringing up record-breaking scores on the machine while explaining to you exactly what's going. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to double-click here. I'm going to get this point thing, and it's going to go into that hole over here. When it goes in that hole, it's going to be like 10 times the points. I'm just going to keep firing into that hole as long as the time period is open. And then from there, I'm going to go to this one over here. It's going to ding off of that. And it's just incredible. Like, he does exactly what he says he's going to do. And growing up with pinball, I had no idea that there was skill involved because you'd put the quarter in, you'd pull the ball back, and boom, the ball would go up, hit something, come right back down, and hit the paddles, and just swing the paddles back and forth. And then the ball would fall between them, and I would lose my quarter. So like a 5-minute conversation with Tom McCulloch caused me to like understand how pinball is played. And I was like, oh, I get it now. I can score points and not have it just be random. I can actually direct this ball into places and it does certain things and it blows my mind. So yeah. Yeah. Doesn't the guitarist of Dragon Force have a lot of these pinball machines as well? If he does, I'm sure Todd knows them, which means we would have access to do another show. Guitar stuff. Can you please explain why Shiny Shirt Week? I started Shiny Shirt Week 16 years ago. I think this is 16th annual, maybe 17th annual now. I think maybe 16th is this year. It's the second week of November every year. And this is because when you get to November in the Northwest is the worst time of the year. It's usually just pissing rain like crazy. It's cold, but it's not snowing cold. So it's like the worst kind of cold, like 33 degrees Fahrenheit and just dumping rain, just gross. And everything's wet. And storms come through, the trees fall down, the power goes out. But the mountains aren't open for skiing yet because when it's raining, it means it's skiing in the mountains. So normally like December, January, February, it's raining. You're like, oh boy, I'm going skiing. But there's not enough snow up there yet to open any of the ski resorts, so that sucks. 2, because it's rainy and gross, you can't go for nice walks, and the sun sets at like 4 o'clock in the evening. Because of stupid fall back. I hate standard time. Give me spring forward time all the time. I'd rather the sun set at 5 o'clock than set at 4 o'clock, because I'm not awake in the morning. I don't care if the sun is up at 7 a.m. Who gives a shit? 7 a.m. is a gross time of the day anyway. So, I needed to give myself something to look forward to every year because the second week of November is just gross and awful. Therefore, I started Shiny Shirt Week. And I look forward to Shiny Shirt Week all year. All my friends look forward to Shiny Shirt Week. They want to see the shiny shirts. And so the second week of November becomes the longest week of the year, and I wear a different shiny shirt until I run out. So I can't remember how many it is. I'm at almost a month. So it's almost Shiny Shirt Month. It's like 26 days worth of shiny shirts. So everyone gets a different one every day until I run out. And that's Shiny Shirt Week and the entire purpose behind it. It's International Shiny Shirt Week because I was in Canada once wearing a shiny shirt. So we went international. And if any of you care to join, hashtag Shiny Shirt Week on your Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. And let's get some more Shiny Shirt Week people out there. Get your shiny shirt, get your shiny shirt on. Get your shine on, baby. Okay. Guitar stuff. Cheers to Steve Reese pouring 2 out for him and his old lady. All right. Excellent. Steve Reese was a nice guy. He was a sweetheart. BW brand. I'm no fan of wearing anything that can melt my body in a fire. Oh, this shirt will definitely just like suck in. But you know what? It's a lot of fire. Look how huge this thing is. All right. Steve Reese was a large man. But you know what? It's so shiny. It's got to weigh the risk reward there. Just don't smoke any cigarettes or I don't know, play gasoline fights in the shirt or something. Green-Eye Bandit Elixir. I asked a week ago about the tokenized stocks. Your thoughts? That appeared apparently GME tokenized stock is being used as locates for shorts. I think it's more just scam. I think it's just they're selling something that doesn't exist, and they knew people would buy it because why not? Uh, was it AMC Bickham? Someone pointed out that the AMC tokenized stocks, that there's like 1.8 quadrillion of them that they minted. That sounds to me like scam. That there are no shares related to those tokenized stocks. That they're just a full on token they minted and then sold them, and then people bought it, and they took that money and they went, "Thank you, idiots," and that's what they did. Ted Tremendous. Hey Houston, being older now, I love to eat and hate to work out. Any advice to get fit? Plus, I live in cold Midwest. Tips? Any fit, fun hobbies, not sports? Well, first of all, I just got to go do it. And I've been bad about that. I was doing pretty well this summer, and then I threw my back out, and I've been really, really bad about it since. I've lost like 10 pounds of muscle, and then all the food I ate in Vegas last weekend did not help in any way, but it was delicious. I'm carrying a little bit of, I don't know, sludgy arteries right now from Vegas. Walks. Going for walks. Even if it's cold outside, bundle up, wrap the dog up and stuff, put some booties on them. Just go for walks. Staying fit in the winter is usually hard. So, like, you got your ice skating, you got skiing, you got cross-country skiing, and sledding. I don't know. That's about it. Otherwise, you're indoors, you're shooting hoops, you're at the gym, lifting weights. That's it. I mean, I don't have any other magic ways to get fit without just fucking doing it. So, Ted, just do it. That's it. Pretty simple. Daphne says ice skating. I agree with Daphne. Ice skating is fun. It is very fun. Peter, 1890 should be this week, or did I miss something? I think it's next week, 22nd, which is Thanksgiving week. That's if it is 90 calendar days. But people often say to me, no, it's not 90 calendar days. It's 90 business days, which means it's like January. So we'll see. Right? We'll see. Right now, I'm kind of seeing that Adam Aaron's been selling ape shares, which is what I told him not to do. But he seems to be doing it anyway. Steve W., you drunk, honey? Homie, I don't drink, Steve. Never had a glass of alcohol in my life. I'm just a weirdo. That's what it comes down to. Michael O'Hara, if one of us paid $50 to put Carolyn Ellison's face in your space, you would lose subscribers. That's a weird little lady, isn't she? Very weird. They're all very weird. They're a bunch of weirdos. Like, I know this will sound kind of chauvinistic, but I thought the entire driver to become like a billionaire was to be able to pull tens when you otherwise wouldn't be able to, because your personality or weirdness or other defects you have there. But people put up with a lot. They're like, yeah, the guy's kind of weird, but he's worth $1 billion. So you can definitely pull in a higher class of mate when you're worth a lot of money. The polycule that these folks from FTX and Alameda were involved in, let's just be honest, those folks are looking rough. Looking real rough. And they're all like methamphetamines and Parkinson's drugs. So, it's probably doing all sorts of weird things to their brains. So, I mean, hey, whatever floats your boat. I'm sure in a furry costume, everyone looks the same. So, Yeah. Okay. DVS is also talking about Upstart. Just went back in the reg show today. OPEX is going to be amazing. Okay. Well, if I don't know if I have any. We'll see. I'll look and see what I can scrape together, and Maybe I'll play with it some. Westwind DVS Upstart seems sus to me. Remember interview where analysts didn't know what the company does, yet he was hyping it? I don't know. At this point, I don't think anything matters what they do as long as they're short squeeze. Aaron Salentine says, we'll go to HKD prices, 2,500. That would be amazing. I would totally take that. If Acme were to hit like $2,500, I think I will retire early. That's what I'll do. I'll be like, you know what? I don't actually have to work anymore, and I can do nothing but my own pet projects. Because I would take that money and I would put it into something that is going to pay off, like DRV calls. And because the housing market is collapsing so hard right now, I could 10, 20x that sucker like that. And then you just dump it into a index fund at the bottom of the market. Dump it into a Vanguard index fund at the bottom of the market. That thing's only going to grow and net you 8% annuities a year. And you don't have to do anything ever again. You can monkey butt. We can then get into an Earth Roamer. Or perhaps, I was also thinking about getting a Sun Raider and taking the cab off of it, putting on a newer truck that's good to go. And then just traveling. If I do shows, it's going to be from the inside of my wicked-ass four-wheel drive camper truck. And we'll be doing it from vistas all over North America, if not the world. Okay. Tom George, Houston, unable to buy Acme due to my location. Would Acme's parent company be a good investment and see some results from the sale of Acme? You mentioned they own an amount of Acme. Well, in this theoretical, hypothetical realm of Acme, you've got Acme, the preferred share that's going to go private and sell for billions, right? And you've got the parent company of that preferred share that's own, 25, 35% of that company. So if your preferred share stock sells, let's say $5 billion, right? Sells for $5 billion. You, as the parent company, are going to get like $1.5, $1.7 billion out of that cash. So suddenly, let's say you're a fledgling startup, and all of a sudden you can report your quarterly earnings as $1.5 billion, which are, literally 1,000% gain over the previous year's quarter. And when the stock market sees that, they go, oh my God, these guys just made a fortune. They've got so much cash on hand. Oh, buy. And the stock price goes, whee! They can also do a couple of things with that money. They can say, you know what we're going to do? We've got so much cash on hand. You've been such great shareholders. Perhaps we are going to offer you a special, $5, $10 dividend. Just because, you're special. Stock price goes, woohoo! And then they say something like, we're going to offer 500 million more shares of the process. And they raise a boatload of money off of the sale of those shares because of, there's a dividend out there. They're great earnings. And they just raise even more cash. And they use this huge pool of cash. Either they offer dividend or they don't, but they've got a boatload of cash on hand. And they're a company that seems to be doing the Microsoft type situation. Like, there's no point in devoting, make a whole department, devoting 100 engineers to develop a new product when you can just go buy the company that makes that product already. You already just buy the expertise. Microsoft bought Bungie, right? Why not? Microsoft bought Skype. Why not? We don't have to make our own. There's already guys making it. You are us now. You're not Microsoft. Congratulations. So they can buy up everybody in this material science sphere, take all of their patents, and then dominate the industry with that kind of money. And if they do that, then they're the future. They will have everyone. And if they got everyone, then anyone else who needs that technology has to license through them. They can patent troll. They can sue. They can do all sorts of things that will just net them cash, cash, cash. And before long, they're a $10-20 billion a year company. And, why not? So perhaps buying a parent company of a company like Acme might be a brilliant idea. Okay. Suave, see, Citadel got GSD member status now. Yeah, someone sent that to me earlier, that the SEC filed that they now have that member status as a FICC, the something or other clearing corporation. That they now would, I think, be eligible for government bailouts if that were the case. So it's good news, bad news. Good news that if they do go under, the government has to reach in their pocket and throw money at them to save them, which means we get paid, right? And probably a little bit of a relief for their prime brokers. Like Bank of America might be going, whew, we aren't going to owe like $8 trillion because they only sell stock they never have any plan to deliver. So, could save them a bit. Behavior 688K has zero effect on the quality of stream, FY Mr. 720p. Yes, it does, obviously, since I am a potato right now. It very much so. And I get this giant yellow bar that says error, YouTube not receiving enough video to maintain stream. So that would tell me that streaming at 688K is not working. So hopefully you guys can hear me at least. That's all that matters. Damn, your beard grew back quickly. I told you guys, I grow a full beard. We're 2 weeks in since I clean shaved. I left the mustache, but yeah, that's 2 weeks right there. I'm thinking I might do some swirls, maybe some little swirlies in my beard for my Movember finale on December 1st. I haven't quite designed what the swirl is going to look like, but I have a vague idea what they might be. We'll see. Iggy them on what I would give to watch the chaos unfolding at these hedge funds. It would be just wonderful to be a fly on that wall. I kind of miss the guy who was constantly flying the drones in Chicago to show that everyone's like freaking out on the floors at Citadel. We need some of that down in Florida. Marlon Rivera, how long are you going to be doing the show? You rock, don't stop. I mean, I'll be honest. If we get to retirement levels of cash in the account, I don't think I'll be doing it 3 days a week. I might travel a lot, which, you're traveling, you're hopping on planes, driving places. There's a lot of places I want to see. So you might get recorded videos posted of me in places. I'm not sure how often I would do live shows if that were the case. I do have fun doing these shows, but at the same time, like, I also kind of want to take 3 weeks to sail the Adriatic, just stuff like that. Hike an El Camino across Spain. Go to the Seychelles and just, I don't know, sit in the water, stare off into space. Little things like that. Daphne says HBO Max is showing the movie The King Lies about Bernie Madoff with De Niro. Really timely and good. I've never seen that one. I'll check that out. How many Hollywood people did Bernie Madoff destroy? I know he destroyed Kevin Bacon. Honestly, I would have thought Kevin Bacon would have had to go the route of Nick Cage, because Nick Cage got hit hard by the real estate bubble. He had some pretty poor money managers, and he bought all these like $20 million mansions all over the world with mortgages, and they were all underwater. And they all collapsed. So the dude was making like 30 movies a year, and only one of them was like decent. The rest of them were like, oh boy, Nick Cage. wow, that was a bad movie. You were the best part of it, but that was a bad movie. And now he seems to be, he seems to be financially comfortable again 10 years later. And now he's kind of making these projects that he's interested in, not just like, I need anything now. And we saw kind of what um, Bruce Willis's handlers were doing to him and just making him be like in 500 movies. And the guy had no memory. He had to have earpieces in his head to give him lines because he was going through dementia. So, I would have thought Kevin Bacon would have had to take that route, just like getting as much cash as he can while he can, because Bernie Madoff burned everything he had. But he managed to somehow, he may fell back on his band and was touring with those guys. But hopefully he's diversified some other portfolios around there. There's always that big risk. When you have a money manager and you give someone like, hey, here is everything I have. I've been working for my entire life. Help me maintain my lifestyle. And they go, no problem, chief. And then they take that money and they just throw it in a garbage can. They're like, it's all gone. Sucks to be you. Guess you're going to have to work for another 30 years. Man, that would just burn. That would burn so hard. Da, da, da. More people talking about the Gold Coast. There's Guitar Stuff's got something for us. We're going a little tropical. Tropical and where's that? Asia? Bam, bam, bam. Shaboom. Bing. Oh, shit. Shaboom. Boom. Oops, that didn't do it. That's the same spot we just were in. What the heck? No, that copy. Copy, my friend. Copy. Try to paste in there again. Shaboom, shaboom. Bam, boom. Okay. Going to... Oh, crap. I lost where it was. Philippines? Is that where we were? Little island. Oh. Tall volcano. We are in a crater lake. We are in a crater lake that's in a crater lake. Oh. Oh, my. A crater lake that's in a crater lake that is in... Yes, we're in the Philippines. Okay. So, we have an island. On that island is a giant caldera. Inside this caldera is an island. Inside this island is another caldera. And inside this caldera is another island. Goodness gracious, we got an island on an island on an island. Not quite the level of that one in Canada, which I think is an island on an island on an island on an island, which is 4 layers. But we got 1, 2, 3 layers in this one. There you go. That's something. What is this little guy? Does this guy have a name? Vulcan Point. There's a noodle shop, apparently. On the rim here. It looks like nothing's there, but it says there's a noodle shop. You can overlook that caldera. I love crater lakes. I think they're some of the coolest looking things out there, man. But this looks like one hell of super volcano. I don't know anything about it. All right, what do you guys say for yourself? Tall volcano. Full article. Give it to me. Is a large caldera filled by a tall lake in the Philippines, located in the province of Batangas. The volcano is second the most active volcanoes in the country, with 38 recorded historical eruptions, all of which were concentrated on Volcano Island in the middle of Tall Lake. So that's Volcano Island. Caldera was formed by prehistoric eruptions between 140,000 and 5,000 years ago. The volcano is located about 50 kilometers south of Manila, blah, 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 blah. And several violent eruptions have passed, causing deaths on the island and populated areas surrounding the lake. Overall death count about 6,000. Goodness. Eruptions. Pre-20th century. 42 known eruptions between 1572 and 1977. First recorded eruption occurred 1572. The Augustine friars founded the town of Tall. So basically, they just ignored probably the locals who had been told about eruptions for a long time. They'd passed down orally. 1911 eruption was huge. Death toll, aftermath. I want to know about early eruptions. Give me the historical eruptions, man. I want to know about the ones 140,000 years ago that made that really big lake. Tell me. Okay, so that's the cinder from... So this is the little island we were looking at. This is what it is. It's a cinder cone. A lot of water there. You can see all this water in this lake. And what made the Tambora or the Tonga volcano so awful was water. Water flashes into steam underground, and it creates a tremendous amount of pressure. And when that ground opens up, rip, it just steam explosion becomes super violent. And the fact there's so much water here should tell you just how violent it is. Like, this lake is only 13 feet above sea level. That's crazy, right? So there's only 13 feet above sea level. This lake inside the caldera is only 60 feet above sea level. So there's not only a ton of groundwater, but maybe even seepage of seawater that gets into the water here. So that magma chamber gets really close to the surface of this thing, flashes a whole bunch of steam and a whole bunch of water into steam, and then boom, huge explosion. Just like Tonga was one of the biggest explosions ever recorded, and it was all steam from the ocean water hitting that magma chamber. Woof. Okay. Lap 27, if ape price goes up, it is game over for everyone. That is why they have to keep it low. Yep. And that's why guys like Boss Blunts are playing so much with those AMC1 calls that are a combination AMC and ape shares. Because if the price of one goes up, then the whole thing moves up as well, which can cause gamma squeeze across the board. Because they need to find 1 for 1 on all those AMC1 calls. So he's playing deep out of the money ones for 2023, but it's not that deep anymore. It's only 2 months away. If I were to play, I might go for leaps or like 2024, just so you get the theta in there as well. But you know, if the T90's working, then it could hit real hard. Sad Boy Incorporated, dear Houston, you are a positive, insightful, motivating person. A pimp. I'd rather be a pog. I don't know. All right. All right. Oh yeah, Daphne's going to Spain. That's right. Have a good time in Spain. That's next week. You're going. So send lots of pictures. You'll be gone 2 months. That's a good chunk of time to be gone. Goodness gracious. Have a blast. Okay. I am so far behind in the chat still, but at least you guys are having some conversations here, so that gives me a good chance to do some skipping. Okay. Toma, Houston, who would win in a flashy shirt contest, you or James May? James May's got some incredible shirts. He has some real just killer shirts that make me jealous. I would say overall, he might have a higher caliber shirt simply because he's a rich guy and he can just get really, really nice shirts and doesn't really care. But in volume, like if we were to have a shirt off competition, which would imply we're taking our shirts off, But if we were to say sashay a runway with a different shirt each time we go down, I have a feeling I'd win. I think I would beat James May over just sheer quantity of fantastic flashy shirts. It's hard to get to the number that I've gotten to in shirts, and I don't. While James May has got some incredible shirts, I just don't think he has the quantity. He's got some quality, but I don't think he has the quantity. Da, da. Anthony G. Houston, any good places to buy rough gems and such? Rough gems, and you won't necessarily be able to guarantee the quality right away. You can go on eBay. You can get rough gems on eBay for pretty cheap. Sometimes they'll sell you what is actually a lab created stone and tell you it's natural, and they're lying to you. But if you go with stones that can't be lab created, like certain garnets, stuff like that, and get rough ones, then there's a good chance you'll have the real thing. And the Tucson Gemstone is also the big place to get things wholesale and super cheap. You can rough gems are cheap in general. They're about 1/10 to 1/100th the price of what a cut stone would be of same quality. That's where the value is in the cut stone. The rough ones are not worth much. So you can get like a 1 carat rough diamond for $100. And if you want to buy a 1 carat cut diamond, it's going to cost you $1,000. So there's a 10x on that alone. So in wholesale, maybe we'll get that 1 carat diamond if you buy it in bulk, even cheaper. So that's kind of what you got to look for. And so I've done lots of bartering and trading. I've gotten all sorts of cool garnets, rough tanzanite, which is actually pretty soft stones, kind of sucks to cut. Lots of rough sapphire, but I've also found a lot of rough sapphire out there. Rough rubies. What are good stones to cut? Like rough sunstones are pretty cheap and then are really pretty when they're cut. I've never bothered cutting any barrels. All the ones I have or had were rough because they're really brittle and I'm scared to cut them. They just kind of explode if you do it wrong. And I don't have enough experience with that. But it's also very hard to find barrels, especially emeralds, that are quality. Because a lot of them are just green rocks that are just kind of ugly and opaque. And so when you look for them on eBay, definitely look at the ratings. You'll have a lot of guys from Thailand, India that sell. Some of them are better than others. And some of them have really cool stones. Like you might get a really cool opal from Ethiopia through a Thai seller that you're like, holy crap, I just got like a 300 carat opal. And it's beautiful for like $100. So you might get some real cool deals out of those guys every once in a while. But oftentimes you'll get screwed also. So just kind of expect that. If you don't want to buy them, go find them. That's also a great way to do it. Can be more expensive sometimes because sometimes you go out and don't find anything. And then like I spent gas and tools and he's got to go camping. Okay. All right, people talking about Walmart and Amazon and okay. Oh, you guys are so goofy. At least I can scroll through this stuff because you guys just cracking jokes to each other and allows me to get closer. I'm at 11:30. I should be signing off soon anyway. Houston's on record slow mode. I saw that one. Okay. I'm just going to scroll down here to the end. I'm going to do a couple more questions, and then I'm going to call it evening. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday. It'll probably be an After Dark on Wednesday as well, because I'm taking my aunt to lunch. It's belated birthday lunch for her. So I won't be doing an afternoon show. So it'll probably be a late night on Wednesday, FYI. And then there's a couple of folks visiting from England that were in town for my friend's wedding, and I promised I'd take them around a couple of sites. So you're going to get a late night show from me on Wednesday as well, FYI. And then next Tuesday? Or is it Tuesday after? Crap, what's the calendar say? No, sorry, 29th. 29th is our Charity Tuesday. The 29th is going to be Charity Tuesday, and I'm going to do our Toys for Tots on the 29th this year. So we're going to raise money for Toys for Tots. We did it after Christmas last year, which just kind of felt weird. Like we should do it before Christmas, right? To make sure those kids can get all those toys. So we're going to raise money for Toys for Tots on the 29th. That'll be our Charity Tuesday day show. So be prepared for that. 2 weeks. 2 weeks Toys for Tots. Okay. Now we got that stuff out of the way. B2B Brandon, I will say I remember the last time Houston wore that shirt, he showed off the side. This thing is huge. It is just absolutely, it's got like a little band on the bottom that holds, but it is just, I feel like I could go out on a windy day and just jump from tree to tree and sail just fine. This thing is just huge. Just a stretchy, gigantic, huge puffy shirt, and with a really cool pattern on it. That's something I'll spend Moas money. I will get this shirt tailored just for me so that it sculpts to my body and it just looks like it was painted on me. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. Darren Martinez, someone in here may have taken X and smoked some bud and stumbled on the live Houston show. Said person knew this was going to be a great trip. Okay. You guys are so lovely and weird. All right. Darren Martinez, when MOAS happens, will you, Houston, be the CEO of your own space exploration company, private company? You'd be like success Elon never became. I think if I were to be involved in a space company, I would like to be behind the machinery that's used to mine in space. Because it's going to take specialized machines. Because sometimes you're going to be in a really low gravity environment, and you're going to have to be able to like drill holes and blow shit up and not like bounce off of the rock. You're also going to have to be figuring out ways to like separate material in a really low gravity environment, which can be very hard. So you have to have like weird trommels or centripetal machines to like spin out these things. It's like centrifuges essentially. I'd like to think about ways to do that and then sort of become a space mining patent troll in a way. If they aren't going to contract me for my devices, then they're going to have to license it from me, or else they're going to be seeing me in Earth Court for space law violations. So other people are going to figure out the rockets. They're going to do all that stuff. I want to focus more on what machines we can build to mine things in space. Whether it's through my own company or it's through some division that gets gobbled up by like Caterpillar or something. I don't know. Space mining is the future. We've got to start thinking about what type of machinery we're going to be using to do that. Look up a picture of Dracul Mihawk and do that for a beard. Dracul Mihawk. Dracul Mihawk. I have no idea who Dracul Mihawk. Dracul Mihawk. It's a cartoon. That's the beard? That's easy beard. That's too easy. It's gotta be much more complicated than that for Movember. It's a cool beard, but come on. We can get more complex than that. We can get weird. Let's get weird in here. It comes around once a year. Gotta get weird. Got to get weird. I don't know my anime, so I have no idea who Dracul Mihawk was. Okay. Best place to put the family noodle shop. Let's do it on the rim of the second most active volcano in the region. Aw. Best adult dating site. You snuck through here and no one gave you deletes. I'd use her on this channel. Sexy best adult dating site. You have to super chat or donate on Charity Tuesday if you want to spam my boards. That's the rule. Okay. Martin Weiss, good morning for the depths of Czech Republic. Martin's in the Czech Republic. Can't listen now, but will later. Have a good and shiny night. Well, thank you, Martin. Martin's going to try and hook up an in-person interview with Dr. Metzler if I can get back to Switzerland in January. So, woo! That'd be cool. So I'm going to try and do kind of what I did last year, where I'm going to spend a couple weeks with my friends in Switzerland and then go visit another city for a few days. I did Paris this past winter. So I don't know, Prague, Rome, Madrid, Athens, somewhere. We'll see. Do like a weekend, wander a city, see the sights, eat some food, fly home. So if you guys happen to be in any of those places, maybe we'll meet up. And I met Martin last year, and he took me to a very delicious meal at like the oldest vegetarian restaurant in Europe or something. It was delicious. Okay. All right, one more, and then I'm going to bed. Yeah, Wakanda Forever apparently just broke a bunch of records. So they're making money off that sucker. There's still a couple other big movies coming out for Christmas that should do very well as well. All right. Was the wedding fun? The wedding was very fun and lovely. And it went off without a hitch, and the food was delicious, and the dancing was good. And they brought in taiko drummers as entertainment. Have you guys ever seen taiko drumming? It's beautiful. It gets down, and it's really impressive to watch. So it was kind of neat. Okay, that's all I got tonight. I'm gonna eat some cookies. I'm gonna watch some Warrior Nun because the new season came out, and I love that show. I don't know if it's a guilty pleasure or it's just that good, but Warrior Nun's an awesome show. So I'm gonna watch that, and Monkey Butt, and go to bed. So everybody, have a great night. I'll see you for an After Dark on Wednesday. I'm not sure what time, but somewhere in there. And I hope all you guys have a great one. Ready? 1, 2, 3, a shaboom. No, it didn't work. 1, 2, 3, a shaboom.